Hello everyone and welcome to Leigh Barlow Radiology. In this very special episode that we're doing, this will be first of hopefully a series of videos that will be looking into different careers in radiography, answering some of the questions that you might have, how to get into it, etc. And joining me today is the wonderful Michelle Ellwood. Michelle is an Associate Professor in Diagnostic Radiography at the University of Leeds. Michelle was initially appointed to the University of Leeds in 1999 and has been there ever since. And you've held a range of roles, haven't you, Michelle? Program lead, admissions tutor, school lead for admissions, and director for education in the School of Medicine. So you've got a wide range of experiences and lots of different facets of radiography education. And also joining us is my wonderful wife, Leigh Barlow. She's a lecturer in Diagnostic Radiography at the University of Leeds also, incidentally, where you studied your degree in Diagnostic Radiography, wasn't it?
Many moons ago.
Many moons ago now.
And I was your lecturer, wasn't I, for both of you?
You interviewed me.
Oh, gosh. My fault.
I think you interviewed me as well, Michelle, I think.
Oh, there we go. I've got lots to answer for.
Yeah. Leigh's got 16 years experience working in the NHS, both in general radiography and in interventional radiology theatres at Hull Royal Infirmary. And you joined the university team around 7 months ago, wasn't it? So still relatively new. Yeah. So, right. So I think it'd be a good place to start by just telling me a bit more about yourselves. Obviously, I know you, Leigh, by now. I've been married for 10 years. But for everybody else, I think let's start with you, Michelle, if you wouldn't mind sort of talking about how you got into radiography in the first place, because everyone's got a different journey, haven't they? So yeah, tell us about what got you into radiography.
Is that radiography or radiography education?
Well, let's start at the beginning and we'll work our way to the education side. But just to give us a bit of an intro, what got you into radiography?
So both my parents were involved in healthcare themselves. My dad was an ambulance driver and my mum was a trauma nurse. So our kind of like family dinners used to be really interesting, where Dad would say he'd pick the patients up from the road and then took them into A&E and handed them over to my mum. So healthcare was always there. I did look into nursing. I also looked into speech therapy, and neither of them really kind of interested me. And then I had a one-day placement in the X-ray department, and that's what initially got me hooked. And then there was someone from church who had a very good friend who was a superintendent at West Middlesex Hospital, superintendent radiographer, and he managed to get me a week-long work experience in the imaging department, where I just got to see absolutely everything. And then after that, that was it. That was my choice of career. So I ended up training. It was back then when it was schools of radiography. So I trained at Addenbrooke's in Cambridge and graduated in 1990. So I've been in the business for a number of years.
Fantastic. And then same to you, Leigh, what drew you into radiography? Was it something you always wanted to do, or was it something that came quite late on?
No, so I wanted to study medicine. Didn't get my grades at AS level, sat in my form tutor's office crying for a good couple of hours. And he sort of said to me, "Oh, have you thought about radiography?" And I looked into it a little bit. He gave me some information to go away and read about. And I thought, oh, that looks interesting. I'll give it a go. So I applied to Leeds Uni. I did some work experience at my local hospital, did some time on the orthopaedic wards, and went for my interview at Leeds, interviewed by Michelle. I think we spent most of it talking about the rugby, to be fair, once we've got all the questions out of the way. And then did my 3 years at Leeds, started working in Hull, started off in general radiography, did sort of 3 or 4 years in there, got a rotational post into IR, absolutely loved it in there, and was there for 12 years. So yeah, that's my radiography journey. until
Fantastic.
I started back to the beginning again, I guess.
Yeah, I guess for you, Leigh, it's gone full circle, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's difficult because we're kind of trained to go into the NHS, and it's all very, go into the NHS, train to the NHS, stay in the NHS. So I guess moving from that environment into education can be seen probably by some as being quite daunting. Michelle, what made you choose to go into academia?
So prior to coming to Leeds and moving up to Yorkshire, I was a southern lass, and I worked at Great Ormond Street for 5 years, and got as far as Senior 1 radiographer. Great Ormond Street was a popular placement for student electives, and so for about 2 or 3 years, I was the one who was responsible for facilitating and coordinating the electives. So I've always my interest in kind of like supporting students and student education was kind of like started there. But also as well, it's my own student experience that made me think I wanted to go into education and sort of be more supportive and more pastoral support, I think, for students in comparison to, say, my experience. I think another thing for me as well, so I got to Senior 1, and then the next stage would have been to go more into like superintendent management, which wasn't really my thing. So while I was at Great Ormond Street, I had the opportunity to do paediatric lectures at London South Bank. So I dipped my toe in the water and then sort of looked more seriously into it. Great Ormond Street sponsored me doing my master's degree. I did that distance learning over 3 years. So that sort of once again gave me something else to offer when I was exploring looking into education.
Must have had some great experiences working in Great Ormond Street.
Oh, I loved it. It was a tough job to leave, I have to say. Really, really loved it. Completely different. But yeah, when you get married to a Yorkshireman and they decide to move back to Yorkshire, then it's like looking at what the opportunities were.
I keep trying, but she keeps me here. So
I'm a Lincolnshire lass. You're not getting me out of Lincolnshire.
I'm stuck now.
Yeah.
And Leigh, you were even longer than Michelle in the NHS. And I guess the longer you're there, the temptation is more to kind of stay where you are, because you were always at Hull as well. It's not like you moved around from trust to trust. You went from general radiography into interventional. So for you to take that step, it would be a massive move out of your comfort zone. So what was it that made you want to make the change?
Yeah, so for me, like I say, 16 years in the NHS, 12 years in intervention. I think I just wanted that change. I needed to make that change for my family, and in terms of a professional side of things, I wanted to give back in a different way. So I've given back to the NHS for 16 years, working myself in there. I thought now it's time to bring on the next generation, train up some new blood to get into the system, and hopefully keep the NHS driving forwards, and just make positive steps towards that.
Fantastic. Just out of interest, because often with careers, as somebody that kind of that you look up to, someone that you remember from your uni days, that you think, oh, actually, yeah, I'd quite like to be like them. Was there anybody that inspired you? This is a question, just sort of open questions, both of you. Is there anyone that, while you were at university, inspired you, thinking, oh, I would like to do that. I'd like to be as good as they were, when they taught me. Is there anybody that sticks in your mind from your education days that you thought, yeah, they were brilliant? Apart from Michelle, obviously, yeah. If there's anybody else,
obviously. I think for me, it came from before university, really. I think it was my personal tutor at college that suggested radiography to me. So I think Keith was like my big driving force to sort of do radiography. And he wasn't a radiographer himself. He was a college lecturer, and he made that suggestion to me. So I think I've got him to thank for pushing me into radiography and then making me think, actually, I can make that move into education and to help others progress further.
I think for me, it was not necessarily that inspired me to come into education. It was actually once I'd started at Leeds, who kept me going, and that's Boyan. So who was obviously a lecturer for the two of you, and he was my mentor when I first started. And he was really good at sort of making the radiography education, being a radiography lecturer, being really kind of like interesting, inspiring, but also it was a real kind of like privilege to be able to sort of be involved in, like you say, Leigh, sort of getting the next future generations of radiographers up and running.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen a full cohort go through yet, and like the third years this time have just graduated, and even like seeing them after the few months I've been there, I felt really proud of what they'd accomplished, and like seeing how far they'd come just in the matter of months that I'd been around them and I'd been involved in their teaching and their learning. It was just lovely to see them take that next step and then progress into the NHS as newly qualified radiographers.
And I think what's lovely actually, Leigh, with you coming on and being part of our team is because I always kind of like view our students, particularly when they're in year 3, they are going to be potential colleagues, whether that be radiography colleagues where they're supporting our students out on placement, or potential colleagues in the radiography team and involved in radiography education. So it's just really nice that that's my mantra, that's my approach, and and you're here working with us. So I've got a question for you, and I've actually asked you this before, Leigh. So what's it like, sort of 1 minute you're a student and now actually you're part of our team?
I think it took a little bit of getting used to, but you've all been so welcoming and so helpful, really friendly. It's a lovely team to be a part of, and I think it helped that there was a few new starters around a similar time as well. So we've all sort of supported each other, and it's been nice to see them grow as lecturers. Like they're that little bit ahead of me, so it's quite nice to think, oh well, in a few months I'll be able to do that myself, and so yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, we talk about imposter syndrome a lot at the moment, don't we, in radiography? Yeah. So I'd imagine having other people to work with, bounce ideas off at a kind of similar stage to you helps massively, and you can help bring each other along, can't you?
I've not questioned my decision to come into academia, but I have questioned like myself and whether I'm capable of doing the job quite a lot. Like Nicole attests to that I've countless times been like, oh, like I don't know what I'm doing, and should I be doing this or should I be doing that? But I think having the support from you guys that have got that experience, you and Sarah, Jane, etc., who have got those years of experience behind you, and then having the newer staff that are along with me doing similar things at a similar level, it's a good team to be a part of.
But that imposter syndrome doesn't stop, because even now you're thinking, am I doing the right thing? And also as well, I think because the fact that we've got you and Lucy who were students, and it's almost kind of like now you're like on the inside with us. Sometimes it's a case of they must look at me and think, how on earth did she get into that position? Because obviously there's that front facing aspect of being in radiography education, but then the behind the scenes, when the students aren't around, it's also a very different perspective as well.
Yeah.
I've not known what I was doing for 16 years. I'm still here, so so for anybody, I'm immensely proud of you, Leigh. I'll say, I know it's a bit cringe because my wife, but I am. I think it's incredible to make that move and what you've achieved. So I don't think you should ever doubt yourself. Michelle, I always remember doing the position lectures with you, and have been really interactive and really, no, they were really good. But I was going to mention Voyen as well, and that's why I'm bringing it back, because he's certainly one for me personally, even though I've not gone into academia yet. But Voyen was a big part of why I wanted to go into reporting, because I don't think commenting was compulsory in education back then, but his sessions were so kind of inclusive and simplified, so everybody understood. And I've kind of tried to shape my lectures around reporting based on the way he taught us. And yeah, even now, he's retired now. But one of the videos I did, he actually messaged to give feedback. So even though he's retired, he's still people, which I thought was brilliant. So yeah, yeah. But no, I thought it was brilliant. So yeah, there's lots of inspirational people out there. But what route did you take into academia, Michelle? Because I imagine that the landscape's changed quite a lot from when you went into it. But there'll be people out there thinking I've got to do umpteen qualifications, and I don't really know where to start. So I think it'd be useful if you give us a rundown on your journey into academia, and then Leigh, you can tell us more recently.
It's quite interesting because when I applied back in 1999, I applied to another university first for a radiography lecturer post, and I was politely declined because I wasn't published enough. Whereas the post at Leeds was actually for a lecturer, came out to departments and worked with students out on placements. So my placement sites were St James's and Harrogate. So that's kind of like the route I came in. I did come in with the master's degree, which I think was definitely, yeah, it's very, very different today, because I think we've tried a lot of these for potential new lecturers to sort of dip their toe in the water. So we had teaching assistants. That's how Lucy got through, got onto the radiography education ladder. So I think it's just looking at what the sort of different opportunities are.
Yeah, fantastic. And Leigh, how did you get into it then? So how did you apply? How did you find out about the role?
So I have been involved with the students in clinical practice for the whole time I've been qualified, really. I've really enjoyed teaching them out on clinical placement, doing the hands-on experience with them and getting them involved. Certainly in IR, where it can be a little bit trickier sometimes to get them involved in procedures. There's not always a lot of hands-on involvement they can do with the X-ray kit. So it's more trying to get them involved in that patient care side of things. So that's been a big focus for me. In terms of getting into Leeds lecturing, I did a bit of guest lecturing back in April last year, I think it was. Was told that there was a post opening up shortly. Did I want to apply for it? Is it something I would be interested in? So I applied for that role. Didn't get that role at the time, but then was contacted in the summer saying there's another post available. Would you be interested in accepting that? So I've done my master's. Hull put me through my master's. It took me the full 6 years to get that because I had kids in between. So bit of a break in between and then step back on. Thought if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So having my master's, I think, stood me in good stead for applying for the post. But you don't need a master's now, like Michelle was saying. You just need some sort of postgraduate study, be that a PG cert or some sort of teaching qualification, PG cap, that kind of thing. It's not essential to have a full master's or a PhD or anything like that. It seems a lot more accessible now, I think.
Yeah.
So I've done a bit of in-house teaching in the hospitals in Hull as well, a few lectures there for students and staff. But yeah, a lot more accessible than it used to be, I feel.
I think you're right, Leigh, sort of that dipping the toe in the water and doing some teaching first. And then it's also looking out for kind of like schemes. So we've got a scheme at Leeds called the Student Education Experience Scheme, where you can come in and almost kind of like sort of shadow member of staff doing lectures, module delivery, looking at sort of module delivery, program delivery, and all of the behind the scenes aspect of education. And then you can sort of get a feel for it, get some insights, and then it might make you think, actually, yeah, I am quite interested myself in that. Or it might be all that behind the scenes stuff, because it's not just about wheeling ourselves out in front of the students and doing lectures. There's an awful lot of planning, preparation, admin that sort of goes on before that lecture actually takes place. And we've recently appointed 2 colleagues on the back of that scheme as well. So, you know, there's lots of opportunities out there.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think it's just putting yourself out there as well. And I think it's having that confidence in yourself to actually think, this is something I want, and if I want it, I need to put myself in the best position to achieve it. So I think putting yourself out there, going and asking at universities, oh, this is my background, do you need any help lecturing in ultrasound, in IR, in cath labs, CT? Just sell yourself and put your experiences to the universities and see if they're interested.
I think speculative emails are really useful, because you know, we do get some of those as well.
Yeah. And it might be a no, like 9 times out, but that one time it might be, oh yeah, we've got this coming up, come and have a look, see what we do. So it's definitely worth it, I think.
Yeah, and in terms of actual job roles and routes, once you do get into academia, because it's completely different, obviously, to the NHS. And Michelle, I know you've done a number of roles in your career, so you're probably best placed to talk about this. But I'd imagine, you know, you come in as as kind of basic grade, and then, you know, typically you would work your way up through different roles. But I personally don't really have much knowledge of the different roles that exist other than a lecturer. So are you able to talk through some of those roles?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came in as a lecturer with a clinical focus. So with most radiography programs, there tends to be 2 aspects of delivery. There's the clinical placement side of things. It might be that, you know, you want to specialise on that. Clinical tutor. We've got Caris as our clinical coordinator, so she does all of that networking and partnership with our clinical colleagues around the clinical education. Or it might be that you want to sort of focus more on the student education side of things. But even then, within student education, so I suppose my focus has always been around student education and student support, pastoral support of students as well. So I've been a module lead, which once again is like very early doors in terms of leadership. So Leigh's just started out on that, you know, on that particular role where you've got your module, it's yours. You've got a program lead saying, take ownership of it in terms of planning, preparation and delivery, which is really good, because then hopefully, you know, it's something that Leigh's really proud of in terms of, you know, this is hers. When you've completed it for the first time, you know, this time next year, and there's a lot of kind of reflection that takes place. I've been program lead. I'm going back to program lead for the 3rd time in September. So that's where you can you oversee the whole program. You can support the team that you know, help you deliver that program. I see myself very much as in terms of my leadership, very much, hopefully I'm a role model. You know, I wouldn't expect anyone in the team to be doing something that I wouldn't do myself. So I tend to be the first one out the traps to say, right, Leigh, this is what I want you to do, but I've done it already type thing. So, you know, I do try and lead by example. I think probably
that's
one of
really
those.
nice. I'm sorry. I think that's really nice as well, Michelle, that you don't. Phone's falling. My computer won't let me get on the thing. Yeah, I think it's really nice that you do lead by example, and you wouldn't ask us to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself. I think, like, whenever I've been to you, you've been like, oh, here's what I did. You can use it, cherry pick the information you want yourself.
Thank you. I think probably the role that I'm really most proud of, so that's when I was Director of Student Education in the School of Medicine. So that was kind of like I oversaw all of the classified undergraduate programs in terms of, and it was like a quality assurance role. And so that's audiology, cardiac physiology, radiography, and then ultrasound that's just come on board. But I also was responsible for the postgraduate programs and portfolio as well. So it's really nice to sort of, I was almost kind of like that gatekeeper between faculty and the program teams. And it was a really good role, really enjoyed that. I think probably my proudest moment, it was around the postgraduate community, because it's very much the bridesmaid to undergraduate education. And I think they'd been left to their own devices for so long that they just sort of did their own thing. And then they were having to sort of be gently encouraged to sort of come on board with like the big thing that, you know, the university we're going through is curriculum redefined, where, you know, we're being encouraged to redefine our programs, look at what's working, refresh what we're doing. It's natural for our programs in healthcare. We have to revalidate every 5 years. So, you know, it's a process that's natural to us. But a lot of our postgraduate programs have not done this for about 15, 20 years. So, you know, the fact that I've got 75% of the portfolio went through that process was, you know, I'd say that was my swan song when I finished as director in January. So in terms of what's next, I find that the more senior you get in leadership in education, the further away you are from the students. And for me, it's the students are why I do my job and why I kind of enjoy my job as well. And they keep me grounded. I learn from them. Now, some of the work that you read, and you'll get this, Leigh, some of the work that you read that they produce is just like, flipping Nora, that is absolutely brilliant. You know, my paediatric module, you know, it's very much students can choose what they want to focus their essay on. And you find that they fully immerse themselves in their chosen topic. And then I get to mark it and read it. And a lot of what they do then informs the next iteration of my module. So that module is constantly changing because, so, you know, for example, this year I introduced a session around sedation and general anaesthetic in paediatrics because quite a few students had written essays on it. So it's clearly a topic that they really wanted to find out more about. So I'm probably going to be sort of more on shop floor again, because being, you know, with students is what, you know, makes it rewarding for me.
Always a way, in it. No matter what job you do, the higher up you go, the more distance you are from the essence of that job. It's exactly the same in the NHS. The more senior you go, the less patients you see, and some people suit that, you know, some don't. So I guess it's just being aware of what opportunities there are out there in education for people. And I guess everybody asks this, and they ask it of my job and all the time. But in terms of practicality wise, pay scales compared to NHS in academia, you know, if you was thinking of making that transition, not to go into specifics, but, you know, is it kind of on a par in terms of NHS banding? Leigh, you might be able to kind of answer that.
Yeah, so I was top of band 6 when I left. So couple that along with my on-call, I've probably taken a very, very slight pay cut to come into academia. But for me, what I've gained has been more valuable. I think for us as a family, the work-life balance is so much better. Nick and I have got small children, so been around more for school drop-offs, pickups, that side of things has been a lot better for us. Like no on-calls, no weekends has been a big thing for me as well. I've been doing on-call for the past 12 years, night shift prior to that. So I think I've done my time with all of them. While you're young, get them in. But as you get older and you do start to have a family, I think your priorities at home change. In terms of the pay scales, not that much different. I don't believe.
No, I think they're fairly similar. I know that so when we do appoint new members of staff, we do sort of try and kind of like scale it across to what they're on at the moment.
And I think in terms of like feeling valued as well, it's always a big thing. I think I'd reached the top of the tree where I could go in terms of intervention without sidestepping into a managerial role. And similar to you, Michelle, I didn't feel that was for me. So I was very much static at the point I was at. So I feel like taking that sidestep into the academic world, I've got a bit more of my spark back, I feel as well. I feel like I'm learning every single day. The students are teaching me, like out on clinical skills, they're doing things. I'm like, where did you learn that? How do you like show me? Absolutely. So that's really nice as well. Like I say to them, I'm learning from you guys as much as you're learning from us as lecturers. So I think I'm a big believer in like sharing the skills that you have, and getting them to share the skills and the knowledge that they've gained from their placement sites with each other. I think we've talked a lot about it as a team, like communication's key, really, isn't it? To making teams work.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's been a big thing for me as well. Has been getting my spark back and getting my drive back for radiography and enjoying it a little bit more.
Brilliant, yeah. You know I'm a tight Yorkshirean, so I always have to bring it round to money at some point. But on a similar point, I guess pensions as well, because this is something people probably want to know about. You're going from the NHS with one of the best pensions in the country, if not the best. What is the pension like? Is it again? Is it similar?
Very similar.
It will be in people's minds when they're thinking about making that move. So I just thought it'd be useful to ask.
Yeah, very similar.
Very similar. I think probably a big difference would be, so like I think in the NHS, is it still as you get more, accrue more years and you end up with extra annual leave to sort of put into your bag. They don't do that. So I've been at Leeds Uni now for 25 years, so I didn't get my carriage clock. I didn't get any extra annual leave. But then that being said, being involved in education, we do naturally get extra annual leave anyway. So, Christmas, the universities shut down from 23rd, 24th of December, and then we all go back on the 2nd of January. So that, that time off is on top of our annual leave as well. So we do pretty well, to be honest. It is it is hard work. When people say, oh look, it's school holidays,
over summer.
Yeah, like, school holidays, it must be really quiet. And I'm thinking, oh really?
I think Christmas was a big one for me. It's the first time I've not worked anything, apart from when I was on maternity. It's the first time I've not worked anything over Christmas, anything over New Year. So that was really nice, just for us to have that break and that time as a family. I think that was a real nice little bonus.
I think something else really sort of like, it's a different, and once again, Leigh, it'd be good for you to reflect on this. It's just this sort of different mindset as well of being in radiography education. And I think I said this to you, didn't I, when you first started, and that is, you're so used to, as a radiographer, you have your shifts, you're on the shop floor, sort of 15 minutes before you start to make sure everything's there. You've got your list of patients, you've got, everything that needs to be done. And then you finish at at the end of your shift, then that's it, you go away and walk away. Whereas it's a different mindset and it's a lot more flexible. So it's very much as long as you get the job done, there's no clocking in and clocking out. That being said, there are times of the year where you can't just sort of shut shop at 6 o'clock, because it's a really busy assessment and marking period, and we've got a 3-week turnaround deadline to meet. And so sometimes you are sort of like working through the evening till quite late, so that you can keep on top of that aspect of it. But then it's like feast and famine. It does ease off a little bit over the summer, which is when we're doing review and reflection of the academic year that's just finished, and then all of the preparation for the next academic year that starts in September.
I think I've found the change to being more autonomous and having more control over the structure of my working day quite difficult, because it's been so structured for the past 16 years. It's like you've got a list of patients from 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock, and that's you in a lab for the full day. You might get a lunch break, you might not, depending on what's going on and who else is there. But yeah, I think that's been tricky for me, has been trying to figure out what I need to do and when I need to do it, and making my own plans and prioritizing my workload myself. And marking I've found so hard.
But if we sort of like, actually no, you drop kicked into it, weren't you, in January? It's just a bit unfortunate. And that's another thing, it's like, when you have staff sickness, it's very much someone needs
all
to
hands on deck.
It is all hands on deck, which I think
I think that was good for me, because I probably would have, like, I'm a bit more reflective. I tend to sort of step back, watch and see what's going on, and then make that step into it. So I think it was quite good for me to just sort of be pushed into it and told, this is what you've got to do, come on and crack on. in a supportive way. Obviously, it wasn't just like I wasn't just thrown to the wolves kind of thing. But yeah,
it's a good point though, because radiography, you train for 3 years for it, don't you? Before you're allowed out. Whereas in academia, it's kind of learn on the job. There's no real prior training for it. It's a completely different skill set that you've got to learn.
It is, but then that being said, I think when you're appointed as a new lecturer, there is an expectation that you do what we call our PG caps. It's like a postgraduate education training certificate. So you'll be starting that this September or next September?
Next September,
yeah. So so that's where you can like embedding all of the principles and skills. So it's a bit like your PGCE for teaching. It's the higher education version of it. So there is that expectation. But then that being said, because we've had a number of new lecturers start, they can't all do it at the same time, because otherwise we'd have half the team not being able to teach, not being able to be back at square one.
Marvelous. What's the best thing about your job, Michelle? What's the biggest positives about working in academia?
So there's been a number of times when I think I've asked myself, okay, is this it? I've been here for 25 years, and do I look out for other opportunities that's less stressful and what have you? And then it'll be that one student that for whatever reason gets you. So as an example, graduations, we had graduation ceremonies last week, and there was one student who in essence was given a second chance for various reasons, and needed a lot of help and support to get that second chance, and they did it. Do you know what, they chuffing did it. But I've forgotten all about it. And then when they called out her name to come up onto the stage, it really got me. I did this sharp intake of and then unashamedly just got really emotional, started crying, because I just thought that individual, honestly, that for them to get on that stage and collect their degree certificate was just absolutely amazing. But also the part that we played as part of that journey, and it is, I do see it as a real honor, real privilege that we are part of our student journeys. I was part of your journey, the two of you, and it's a real honor and a privilege. And we all learn in different ways, we all get it differently. So like my son, he's in year 2 at uni, he's a natural academic, and he's just like takes it all in his stride, finds it all very natural, whereas that was completely alien to me, because I had to work really hard when I did my radiography training. And I see that in some students, they, to get over the finish line has been a real challenge for them, but it's a massive sense of achievement. And so it's those students that I kind of like, they naturally migrate, I think, towards me to sort of help carry them, drag them, kick them over the finish line. But it's a real sense of achievement. So yeah, it's the students really, and also some of the people that I get to work with. As we've got 4 new members of staff, and to sort of see. So once again, putting you on the spot, Leigh, but it's another journey that I'm involved in now with you, in terms of your start of your academic career, and it's brilliant. And so it takes me on to, I enjoy mentoring. It's been really nice to have those opportunities to mentor new colleagues as well as they come into the profession.
Yeah, I guess in trying to compare it with radiography and patients, you see, particularly in diagnostic radiography and general radiography, you're seeing them for maybe a minute, 2 minutes. Students you've got for years, and you see the best and the worst in them. You see achievements, you see disappointments, you see everything, don't you? And you're part of that journey. And you invest a lot of time and emotion in those students. So to see them get to the finish is incredible, isn't it?
But even those that really, as you say, disappoint or frustrate, but then, you go to UKIO, as I did, this year, and you bump into ex-students, and they are doing so well, and it's just like, and it's very much like I say, we all reach we all get there in different ways. We all get it. You know, some of our students get it in year one. Some of our students get it either in their final year or as they graduate as a radiographer. Yeah, and it's just like, do you know what? And it's, I think if we understand that from an education perspective, then, you know, it makes things a bit easier for us rather than finding it challenging and frustrating. They'll get there wherever there is, and it's a different point for all of us, isn't it? So
yeah. And Leigh, you know, same question to you, I guess. I mean, you've not been in the job long, but what's been the best things about the job so far?
I think for me, I think working with the first years this year has been the best thing for me. Seeing how they've progressed from when they came into clinical skills in December, January time to how far they've come and the confidence they've gained from being out on clinical placement, the communication skills they've gained. Some of them would come in and would barely say boo to a goose when they first came in. And now you see them coming in, bringing patients into a room, chatting about, not just about what they're doing, but asking patients, oh, have you got anything nice planned for after this? What are you doing the weekend? Like actually making a conversation. And that's quite hard to teach, I think. Like some people never get that skill. So I think seeing that progression in the students has been lovely for me.
Fantastic. I'm going to flip it now because it's not all rainbows, is it? You know, in any job, and there's bound to be some negatives. And I think it's only fair to balance it out for people that are considering it as a career. So are there any negatives so far, Leigh? Again, you've not been in it for long, but are there any downsides?
I've just said one, my marking. I found that really, really hard. Like the marking's been the biggest. And I think knowing what level to mark at for me has been quite challenging. So it's fine seeing the ones that are excellent and seeing the ones that you think, actually no, that's not that great, but the in between or judging whether it's when it's borderline, that's been quite tricky for me. So I think that's been one of the hardest things for me to get used to. Yeah, I think that's the main one for me as a newbie.
So it's acclimatizing to the different skill set.
Yeah, I think so.
The
skills are, although there's a lot of transferable skills from clinical, I think I'm having to learn a lot of new skills. And we had a team away day the other day, and by lunchtime I was like, my head's going to explode. There's just so much information to take in, and so many new things to learn that I find a bit of overload sometimes. But I think if I've got the time to process it, then that helps me a lot.
Michelle?
So I think I've alluded to it. So it's not your 9-to-5 job. And so, you know, sometimes it can be difficult to shut the laptop off in the evening because you're thinking, I've got marking to do, or, oh, I've not answered that email for a student. So I think that switching off does take a while to sort of be actually quite disciplined. So for me, you know, when it comes to a busy marking period, I always make sure I'm busy at weekends. So I'm not tempted to, you know, sort of to be marking in the weekends and what have you. And also as well, so when you are in education and you start progressing, I said about the sort of further away, the further up the ladder you go in terms of management, the further away from the students you get. And so sometimes I did find it difficult where there's a tension where students are no longer people. It's more, you're talking about number crunching, and, you know, you need to hit your number targets because, you know, the reality is students bring in money type thing. So that aspect I found sort of quite difficult to actually come to terms with. And then I suppose there's the other challenge as well, and that is on the one side you've got, you know, we've got a radiography shortage, so we need to train more radiographers, but then the flip side is you've got clinical colleagues saying, well, we haven't got the capacity to actually train them. So then it's bounced back to us in education to think about, okay, how do we do this differently? So, you know, I think one of the big new things we're trying to look into as a team is more in terms of simulated learning activities and things like that. So there is that aspect. There is politics in the same way there is in, you know, probably in radiography out on the shop floor. There's politics in radiography education, and it's learning to kind of like balance that and keep that perspective.
There's always politics. I think the only job where there's no politics is mine, where it's a team of one and you sat on your own in a dark room. That's the only time where there's no politics, unfortunately. But I get the sense that academia is, it's constantly evolving. You can't rest on your laurels. It's not the kind of career where you can just kind of sit content and we'll do the same job for 5 years and it'll be fine. Things are always changing. The environment's changing. Technology's changing. Demands are changing, and you've got to adapt with that. And sometimes you've got to think outside the box and be innovative in the way that you're educating the students. This with the AI coming in and simulation, you're constantly having to invent new ways of educating.
Yeah, and it's thinking about actually the sort of generations of students change. So we're finding now that more and more students are commuting to university rather than moving away from home. So they're not having that university experience, student experience, and getting those independent skills, which are really useful for our radiography students in terms of not relying on home to do everything for you, independent, you're making your own decisions, like natural kind of like problem solving that they have to do. They're not doing that anymore. But the flip side is they're commuting to university, so it's almost like the expectations of students are changing as well.
Yeah, and I think when it changed from the free degree to the paid, I think you kind of saw a different dynamic in.
Yeah, and that's understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think when we trained, it was very different in the respect that we got bursary, we got our fees paid for by the NHS. So our expectations were probably very different to what the students nowadays expect from the degree itself.
And there seems to be more mature students coming through than what there was in our day. Back in our day, there seems to be.
Because we're old.
There seems to be. I feel like I'm 75, but there does seem to be more. So again, different expectations, different experiences, bringing in, which is good. What advice would you give to somebody, whether it be a student or radiographer that wants to go into academia? What would you say would be their next steps in terms of their CPD, who to contact? If it was me sat here and I was a newly qualified and I'd have this amazing lecturer in Michelle who I look up to and I want to be like, and I want to go into, where do I start?
So I think, if it's our alumni, it's keeping in touch with the radiography team and looking for opportunities. So we would say probably the most natural opportunity would be supporting students out on placement and becoming, either a clinical tutor, practice educator. So it's almost kind of like you're getting involved in education, but in almost like your safe space in the imaging department. But then, and there's natural teaching that comes with that. But then, as Leigh said, just dropping those emails and saying, I'm really interested in, doing some lectures or tutorials. Is there any opportunities? And most of the time we will, we do like to support that.
I think getting involved in any research that's going on in your department as well is always useful. Doing audits, taking steps that way to learn the process of research is always useful and something to be aware of.
And I just thought as well, and that's one of the things so there might be opportunities that for students, there might be opportunities to get involved in peer-to-peer teaching. So I've been involved in a couple of projects where, I've put the invite out to our second and third years to come and do some teaching in some anatomy workshops that I've been involved in collaboration with the anatomy tutor, working with cadavers and then linking it to radiographic images. So it's looking at those opportunities as well.
What I like about it is there's always opportunities for external speakers, whether it be like you've just said, Michelle, students or postgraduate. I go in occasionally to do lectures, and it just gives you that little snapshot, that little bit of teaching experience, and it's about just slowly building your CPD portfolio up so that when something does come up, you can. And I think you're right. I think going and actually just asking somebody, I'm really interested in this, but I've not got much experience, but I'm looking to build on that. What would you advise? What can I go into? I think that goes a long way because it shows you're proactive.
Absolutely.
I didn't have any. I had teaching experience in a clinical setting. I've done a couple of talks out at conference in like the little booth talks, that kind of thing. But I didn't have any formal teaching experience. So going and doing that guest lecture actually gave me a taster of what it was like, and I thought, oh, I really like this. It's nice to speak to the students on a different level, although it's daunting with 60, 70 of them sat there staring at you and expecting information from you, but you make it interactive and you get them involved. I think you being proactive is the biggest thing you can do for yourself to get your foot in the door.
And I think that goes for any career where the main take-home point I always give, whether it's reporting or whatever, is you've got to be proactive. You can't be reactive. When a job comes out, you can't just go, take that moment to go and say, oh yeah, I'm interested. You've got to show whoever it is that you want to do that job. Yeah. And you've got to show that you're willing to put the effort in, put yourself out there, do new things, and build up to when a job does come out, not just react to when it does after it does come out, which we see quite a lot. So yeah,
I did an interview recently, and I knew the individual outside of the interview, very, very confident and what have you, worked alongside him. But in the interview itself, he was proper nervous. But what came through loud and clear is he was so passionate about the student experience, so passionate about wanting to be part of, student education. And it's because that came through it almost kind of like it deflected from the fact that he was so nervous, but it was just like, I really, really want this. And, and it was almost, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And some people are nervous. Yeah. And you know what? It's fine to be nervous. You want to come across as confident, but sometimes people really struggle in them situations. And everybody's nervous to an extent, aren't they? It's not a natural situation to be in, sat on the table and there's 2 or 3 people staring you down, asking you questions. So, but if you can show, what you've done to build your experience and you show your passion, you show that you're willing to put the work in, people will recognize that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. In terms of this, so we've obviously the whole point of this is to educate people in careers in academia, because to me, and this is a personal thing, I'm not seeing a lot of promotional material or information out there around careers in radiography education. Now, I see it more in terms of, I see a lot of promotion material about research in radiography. There's a lot of stuff about reporting that's come up over the past 10, 20 years. But do you think that there is a lack of awareness and promotion of radiography education as a career? Yeah.
Yeah. And if I'm allowed to say it, I think, our professional body. So I'd love for the Society of Radiographers to do a lot more in terms of promoting it as a potential career option.
I think because it's not the sexy thing. No. Like radiography reporting is the real hot thing, isn't it? So
yeah,
we're not sexy, Leigh. Come on.
I think only Leigh can comment on that.
Yeah. Not the words I'd use to describe it, but
but it's not a hot topic, is it? It's not.
Yeah. No. So maybe it's down to us then, those of us in education, to do more in terms of, I mean, there's obviously the
career fairs and things.
Yeah, and there's like the Radiography Journal. A lot of it is around, sort of research and scholarship and output, but maybe we should be using that as an opportunity to sort of talk about, our experiences and journeys in radiography education, or, sort of doing a reflective piece in what used to be Synergy. I can't remember what it's called now. maybe we
insight
just need
there.
to be more proactive and getting ourselves out there.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. I don't think society do enough to promote careers unless it's on their own agenda. So if it's something like you say, Leigh, on trend. So if it's research is on trend at the moment because they want to be like the nurses, so there's a lot of stuff around how to get into research, scholarships, which is brilliant. You know, that's fantastic. But that's got to be replicated for all the career pathways. You can't just ignore the others just because they're not on trend.
I mean, it is something that I've said that I want to do more with our program, and that is, you know, sort of, we need to be more vocal about it being an opportunity for our students. So that's why, you know, this video interview podcast.
Yeah.
What is it? What we're doing now?
Is it a vodcast? Video podcast, I suppose. I don't know.
But what we're doing now, hopefully, you know, is one step towards, you know, providing that insight for our students to know what the opportunities are. So, you know, these kinds of resources will be good. We have optional modules, you know, and those optional modules, I think we need to kind of like create opportunities for our students to sort of come and shadow us, you know, look into radiography education as a you know, as an opportunity. I mean, we're probably just as bad in like with the optional modules. It's like, yeah, go to CT, MR, reporting, but you know, it's almost like OPS education type thing. So maybe we need to be more vocal, and I'm quite happy to step up and do that.
They can do their electives in the clinical skills. That's probably as much as we do at the moment, isn't it, in terms of the education side? So we get a couple of them that are interested in that side of things. But again, that's in a clinical environment. It's very different to standing up and lecturing in front of people. I've been in a classroom environment, isn't it?
Well, without any lecturers, there's no radiographers, is there? So you think the professional body would be it would be a priority because we need more lecturers in radiography. So I think things like this and just short snippet videos, interviews with people that have done the job is really important because as I say, if I was a radiographer, I wouldn't know where to get information on this, to be quite honest. Not detailed information, not the information that you really need to know. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of these episodes is just that insight for people, whether it be students or qualifieds. So hopefully they find this useful. I think last question, because we're nearly on an hour now. So I think let's bring it back and just to you guys. What is your kind of future aspirations? What's your future plans? Now, Michelle, you said you keep thinking about doing it and then come back and you want to kind of stay more around the students. But yeah, if I was to say maybe in like 5 years' time, where would you see yourselves?
Oh, crikey. That's a good one, isn't it?
Sorry.
That is a really good one.
I kind of like feel that I've gone full circle, to be honest. And I'm sort of, I suppose I'm back where I belong, you know, sort of on the shop floor. Because I think sometimes like when you do go into sort of the more senior leadership, you get very sort of distracted by all of the politics and everything around it. So I think I'm quite happy to be back on the shop floor. I think probably a big area that I would like to sort of focus on will be the sort of student support, pastoral support of radiography students. But I'm not going for vice chancellor of the university or anything like that. So
why not?
Leigh?
I think for me, I have come full circle, so I'm back to where I started. So I think it'll just be building myself up, getting involved in. I mean, this year will be my first full year going through. So 3 years' time, it'll be my first full cohort graduating. That'll be quite an exciting thing to be a part of. So I just want to work my way through what I'm doing now, get myself bedded in, and then I guess the world's my oyster, really. Just see where it takes me. I'm getting involved in admissions a little bit more, so that'll be a really nice process to be involved in. I've done a few of the interviews, so doing open days and things like that. I'm really excited to draw people into our profession and build for the future, really.
Do you know how reassuring it is for you to say, yeah, see my first cohort through for like 3 years? I'm like, yes, she's staying with us for another 3 years.
That's the plan.
Not thinking of leaving yet.
No, you've not scared me off.
Not yet.
So on that note, I think we'll leave it there. But yeah, look, that's been brilliant. It's been a brilliant insight into the role in radiography education. And everybody listening, I hope it's been useful for you. Thank you so much for listening, guys. As always, if you've liked it, just drop us a like. It helps massively. Subscribe to the channel, share with your colleagues as well if you think anyone might be interested. Like we say, we are going to be hopefully running a series of these all around different careers in radiography. So hopefully that'll be some useful information for you. But Michelle, Leigh, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. And everyone listening, we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.